Bill with American Heritage Properties, and I'd like to talk to you today about evictions. It's a word no landlord ever wants to hear, but unfortunately it can happen from time to time. Here at American Heritage, our eviction rate is less than half of 1%. But over the years, we've handled quite a few evictions when landlords come to us with their problem tenant and they just don't know what to do. One of the first problems that I see when it gets to that point is a lot of times the tenant has strung along the landlord for way too long. It can be 3-6 months before the landlord actually starts the eviction. That's a first problem. The more time that the tenant has, the deeper the hole gets for the landlord financially. But onto the process of evictions, the first step is to serve a 3-day notice. That basically gives the tenant the option to pay the rent or get out of the property. It doesn't relieve them of their obligations under a lease, for instance, if they happen to move out. But it is the first step in the legal process. If they don't pay the rent within that time period, the next step is to turn it over to an attorney. Do not try to handle an eviction by yourself. Technically you can, practically you can't. Unless you're an eviction attorney in San Diego, handling an eviction is a very difficult process, and if you don't cross your T's and don't dot your I's, you're going to have a problem. The attorney will file a complaint with the court. That's the first step on their side. They file a complaint, which is a regular lawsuit. They have a summons served to the tenant, and then the next step is the tenant has the opportunity to respond and say why they haven't paid the rent, or to dispute the fact that they have paid the rent. If they do file a response, then they get their day in court. They get to go in front of a judge. This is another time where it's so important to have your attorney handle it. The attorneys know how to handle the process. If they do get their day in court, the attorney would be there to represent you. You would come along and you would just answer questions for the attorney. Then, after that, assuming you win, which is what happens in the high 90% of the time, then the tenant is given a lockout date. It takes about 10 days, 2 weeks to get the lockout date. They're told of the date that they need to be out, and then you're called the day before and told to meet the sheriff, and you meet the sheriff there, and you always have to have somebody available to change the locks. The sheriff will enter the property to ensure that they're completely out. You change the locks, they give you a piece of paper that shows that you now have possession back of the property. So that's basically how the eviction process works. Again, don't try to do it yourself. Always hire an attorney. It may be costly to hire an attorney, but it will save you so much in the long run. It's unfortunate to ever have to be in a position where you have to file an eviction, but in business these things happen sometimes. So if it does happen to you, I wish you luck. You are always welcome to call me with any questions that you have, and I'd be happy to help you, whether we manage your property or if you're doing it on your own.